What's up, everybody? We are back in 2021. I don't know about you, but I am happy to be here. In the next few lessons, we're going to be talking about vocal health. I love this topic because if we don't have vocal health, then our vocal technique doesn't really mean too much. Let's talk about the difference between vocal health and vocal technique. Vocal technique, that is all of the different elements that we've looked at, from alignment to breathing to phonation to resonance, vocal registers, mixing, healthy belting, soft palate, lips, tongue, jaw, all that stuff. Good vocal technique is designed to maximize the longevity of your voice, as well as give you the most versatility and flexibility in your voice to be able to choose from different vocal colors, sing in different genres, and to do it all healthily. Well, how is that different from vocal health? We can have healthy technique but not have good vocal health. Let me explain what I mean. Remember that part of what makes the voice different from a lot of other instruments is that our body, our full body, is really our instrument. And unlike a tuba or a violin or an oboe, we live inside of our instrument. Hopefully you don't live inside of a tuba, but no judgment to anyone who does. Say that I was a guitarist and I spent a lot of time learning to play my instrument with really good technique. And then I picked up my guitar and I smashed it against the wall. Well, it doesn't really matter how good my technique is. My instrument is not really going to function properly because it's not in healthy condition. In the same way, we need to take really good care of our bodies so that our instrument is in healthy condition and we're singing with good technique. So really, good vocal technique and good vocal health together are the keys to longevity in the voice. That is, being able to sing for long periods of time over many years without having vocal injury. We're going to talk a little bit more about vocal injuries later on, but for now, let's go ahead and talk just a little bit more about what vocal health is. So we've talked a lot about the vocal folds. We know that they're a lot like a rubber band that gets stretched and shortened, and the stretching makes for higher notes generally, and the shortening makes for lower notes generally. And there are a lot of different muscles involved in the coordination of these vocal folds. This little diagram right here is a cross-section of the vocal folds. So if I were to tell you that the vocal folds come together really quickly like this, then this diagram would be as if we had just chopped off half of the vocal fold and we're looking at the inside of them. So vocal folds are made up of muscle, as well as many layers of sort of jello-like mucous membranes that are flexible. And then they're covered by a thin layer of epithelium that has a lot of the same qualities as your skin on the outside. And just like skin, vocal folds can get really easily irritated when they're dry. The animation of this diagram is showing in slow motion the way that the vocal folds come together. And so you can see how much flexibility is needed in order for this to happen properly. If your vocal folds are dry, you can imagine that that flexibility might be lacking, and how the lack of moisture in the epithelium and in the muscle and in the mucous membranes could make the voice more prone to injury. Now, in order for the vocal folds to come together effectively in the way that's depicted in this diagram, there's a certain amount of pressure that is required. Now, that pressure is generally provided by the breath, which powers the vocal mechanism, but there is also, as we've talked about, a certain degree of muscle involvement. Now, scientists have coined a term that determines the amount of pressure that might be required based on different vocal health factors. That term is phonation threshold pressure. Phonation threshold pressure refers to the amount of lung pressure needed in order to make the vocal folds vibrate. Studies show that the amount of pressure required changes based on how hydrated the vocal folds are and how fatigued they are, in addition to other factors. So what that means practically for you is the amount of pressure and effort that you have to put into singing changes based on how hydrated your vocal folds are and how tired you are. And we'll talk about what leads to fatigue as well as dehydration in future videos. This concept was a real game changer for me because there had always been days that I woke up and thought to myself, wow, singing just feels a lot harder today. I feel like I have to put more effort into singing today. And when I heard about this concept, it all made sense. The way that we treat our body matters. A healthy, well-rested, hydrated body is going to require less effort to sing than a body that is the opposite. Other factors that can affect the phonation threshold pressure are vocal skill and pitch. So studies show that the more vocally skilled a person is, that is, the better technique that they have, there's actually a lower threshold. So that means that you need less lung pressure to sing. It's easier when you have good technique. I would imagine that that's really closely connected to resonance. Remember, as we've discovered, that when a person utilizes resonance, singing is easier. The muscles in the throat are working less hard. There's overall less pressure going into the sound because everything's lined up and the space in the mouth and throat are doing the work for you. So the more skilled you get as a singer, the less pressure, both in terms of lung and air pressure, as well as pressure in the muscles of the throat, is going to be required to produce that sound. Finally, the last factor that affects phonation threshold pressure, or the amount of air pressure needed to sing, is pitch. So higher pitches are going to generally need more air than pitches in the middle of your range. Sometimes pitches that are very, very low will need a little bit more air pressure as well, but the highest notes in your range are going to be the ones that require the most air. So as a singer, we are generally going for the lowest phonation threshold pressure. Basically, we want singing to be as easy as possible. This is what we keep talking about, right? And so we need not just good technique, but we also need vocal health in order to achieve this. So in future videos, we're going to break down elements of good vocal health and how you can take care of your body as a vocalist. But until then, why don't you start thinking about the factors that affect how easy or hard it is for you to sing? Are there times when you feel more tired when you sing than others? Is it affected by the foods you eat, what you drink, how much sleep you get, maybe the air quality or how much you've been talking or using your voice? Start thinking about the things that affect your voice, and we're going to talk about some good guidelines going forward. Until then, see you later.